They are movies that may have been critically savaged by the critics, but loved by you and I. Tonight, the guilty pleasure movies we love on Whiskey Business. Oscar season has come and gone. The winners have been selected. Maybe you agreed. Maybe you didn't agree. Maybe you thought some of the movies didn't deserve to be there. Supposedly, anything that's Oscar nominated is of high caliber, quality, Hollywood royalty, if you will. But enough about those movies. Like I said, Oscar season has come and gone. What about the other movies? You know, I have to think for just a second. When a movie is going into production, nothing but the highest of hopes have to be imagined. You know, a screenwriter is excited that his words are going to make the big screen. A director is getting into the chair and going to direct the movie that'll put him on the Hollywood map. Actors who are thinking this is their big break. This is what's going to put them on the road to stardom. And sometimes, despite all those good intentions, not so good. But maybe there's something in there. Something cult classic-like, or something that just appeals to an audience, and that movie becomes a guilty pleasure. Maybe even a hit. Maybe if it was critically savaged by critics and newspapers galore, it becomes a favorite with you and I, the movie-going audience, and it becomes a favorite. Hi, I'm Dino Tripodis, and tonight on Whiskey Business, that's what we're going to be talking about. Those guilty pleasure movies, some which are great and are guilty pleasures despite whatever, and some not so great. And those are the ones I really want to get into and have fun with. The ones that aren't so great, but for some reason you love them. Maybe you just love the train wreck aspect of it or whatever is involved, but that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. And of course, I can't do the podcast without Greg Hansberry, right there on audio. And joining us tonight in front of the camera instead of behind it, he does a magnificent job on our YouTube videos. Jon Whitney.
I'm on camera, man.
He'll be chiming in because he is a writer and a director of movies. And our special guest tonight, a returning guest to the podcast. He's been on Whiskey Business before, but we asked another fellow movie lover, Jon Osbeck, to join us as well. Let's get to some of the social media stuff real fast, and I'll introduce the guest bottle, and then we'll be off and running.
Well, we always appreciate the grassroots effort. Share with your friends, especially this episode if you got some movie-loving friends, of course. But as we talk about video, of course, Whiskey Business has a YouTube channel. This right now is being videotaped. So if you're listening on your favorite podcasting app,
or it's being recorded, as Jon Whitney likes to say.
It's not being taped.
He likes to
it's recorded. It's on digital record.
Yeah.
YouTube is Whiskey Business with Dino Tripodis. You can subscribe there and actually watch this video. But we do ask you to subscribe to on your favorite podcasting app. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, the Twitters. I think that's it, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so.
We'll promote the premise because I think it's coming up the third Thursday of the month.
Yeah, and this will be airing after the Oscars.
Correct.
So,
which will be...
the Oscars are on February 9th. This will drop on, that Monday the 10th.
So it'll be that following week, I believe, will be the premise at the upfront
So February 20th at
Correct.
the upfront stage at Shadowbox
next
Live.
Week. Yeah.
$10. Doors are at 7:30.
Yeah.
We had a great kickoff to the new year there in January, and thanks for everybody for coming out. It was a great show, great way to start the new year, and we expect to have nothing but continued great shows.
It's a good entertainment value.
It is at $10.
$10. Come on, man.
And so is our guest bottle. Our guest bottle tonight is 100 proof Rittenhouse straight rye, bottled in bond. All right.
Good.
First of all, let me tell you how good this is, and then I'll tell you how much it is. This comes from Heaven Hill. We've had their products before. This is produced what they call the Pennsylvania way, as far as rye. Pennsylvania ryes tend to have a little spicier and fruitier profile to their taste. Mm-hmm. It's bottled in bond. For those
I was trying to think of a Steelers joke. I can't do it.
Yeah.
That the Steelers are spicy and fruity.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said it on
I said it, but I didn't mean it. It's bottled in bond, which, of course, as you know, means one distillation season with one and only one distiller at only one single distillery, aged in federally bonded warehouses under U.S. government supervision for at least 4 years, and then bottled at exactly 100 proof. That's everything that has to go into a bottle being bottled.
How is a place federally regulated?
I was wondering.
I don't know, but I've said it before. I've said it before. That's
You want
as
that
a
job?
semi-retired guy, that's the job.
That's the dream job.
That's
is
the
that
dream
it? Is that one of them?
What you doing? I don't know, but I got 3.5 years to go.
Yeah, you probably
Watching
get to
whiskey.
carry a gun. You get to carry a gun.
Probably.
For sure.
Probably.
For sure.
Oh, in Kentucky? Yeah, hell yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But have you guys taken a sip of this already?
Yeah,
This has got. It is. It does. It's not as spicy as you would think a rye would. I say that this is a good. I've said this about Templeton rye. It's a good intro rye for hardcore bourbon drinkers who might be a little not afraid of rye but hesitant because ryes tend to be a lot more spicier. All right, and this is a good intro into rye, I think, if you're looking to kind of slide in there easy.
I think it's a little more fruit
Oh, yeah,
forward,
absolutely.
if you can call it that.
Just like the Steelers.
Stop it. I pick up a little bit of a little bit of banana. No, a little
Sound effects.
little banana, maybe a little peach.
I just spilled it down my shirt.
Oh,
All right. Very well done.
Have one.
Well
have one
done.
sip
Off
in.
and running.
dare I say there's kind of like almost melony. I get like kind of a cantaloupe or a
Like a
I
rind?
can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, like a rind.
I don't know.
Some reviewers have described this
stab.
as also being almost like a very oatmeal-like,
You can drink it for
like
breakfast.
a breakfast bowl of oatmeal, as far as how it all comes together. So maybe this would be a good breakfast whiskey.
Yeah, it's
Good breakfast of
Way to
champions.
start your day. I don't. If you're starting your day with a glass of whiskey,
Yeah, you got to pour it over your Wheaties.
And not a very long finish. I mean, it goes away pretty quick. It doesn't linger for a long time. So that's a little.
if this is like an intro rye, what would you say is like a veteran rye?
Ooh, because this one gets compared to a good.
You said this gets compared to what, Templeton?
No, I said Templeton was a good introduction rye.
All right.
And this has been compared to Woodford rye, which is a little more expensive because that's the best part of this deal. This is $25 a bottle.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
So you can't go wrong.
No.
$25.
I mean,
a
at
bottle.
100 proof, this is still pretty smooth.
Yeah, it is smooth.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
That's
so
where we get into trouble.
that's our guest bottle for tonight, the Rittenhouse Straight Rye, as we head into our topic for this evening.
Wait, and I'm sorry to interrupt. Didn't you say it was only? Did you say how much it was?
$25.
25.
Yeah.
I just said it.
it.
All right, sorry. I'm not
Where'd you
paying
go?
attention. I'm looking.
Where'd you go?
I brought
You
my computer
disappeared.
today. I'm already looking up Adam Sandler.
You went away for a minute. Yeah. Like I said, Oscar season all said and done. And now we look at the movies that we love. Guilty pleasure movies. Let's discuss. What makes a guilty pleasure movie? What would be the generic definition?
I was trying to think about that beforehand, and for me, it's like those movies that are on cable. And I don't have cable anymore, but those movies that are
You've cut the cord?
I've cut the cord.
I wish I could cut
So
the
I'm all
cord.
on demand.
I wish I could cut the
Hulu
cord.
and Netflix.
I stream, but I can't cut the cord.
Amazon.
I'm afraid to cut the cord.
But when I'm
you think I have mother
traveling-
issues?
We're not going to go there. We haven't had enough rye. But like if I'm in a hotel or I'm traveling and I'm watching cable and on TNT a movie comes
Sometimes
across,
I was gonna say
and I
TBS
just
and
can't
TNT.
stop watching
Yeah,
it. Like
yeah.
once I see, if no matter where it is, if it's an eighth of the way, if it's 3/4 of the way, if it's half the way in it, I just can't stop watching.
See, but I think that's a different. That's a different category.
But people have to.
movies.
If you would tell people that you like this movie, they would go, "Really?"
Yeah, that's a guilty pleasure.
Okay, all right. Well, I have a couple stuff.
But I get what you're saying because and I thought we'd get into that maybe a little bit. Let's get into it now. But there are movies like that no matter where you're at, no matter what you're doing, if it comes on, you're in.
Okay. Yes.
Those I get. Last night, and I have multiple versions of it on DVD. I have multiple versions of it, and I sat there like an idiot and watched The Godfather and half of Godfather 2 on AMC with commercial breaks, because and my excuse was, oh well, they are broadcasting it uncut and unedited, so they did that.
Oh, they were.
Yeah, they did that.
But
now.
you wouldn't want to get up, no effort to get up, get the DVD, put it in, and then you have to fast forward to where it's on TV. So
that would mean
that's a lot of work.
That would mean getting up off the couch,
sit through 4 hours of commercials,
finding it, putting it in.
I don't know. There's also something though that's slightly reminiscent of days of old when movies that you loved would come on to broadcast television, like the Friday night movie.
Right.
And those were the only times you could see those movies again before VHS tapes were popular and all that stuff.
Right.
Was when, like, I remember seeing when Superman with Christopher Reeve came on the Sunday night movie, and my brother and I were so excited to watch it with commercials and
everything.
And I feel like there's something that harkens back to that age where it's like it's on the.
Mine was Papillon.
Papillon. Oh, that's a great movie.
Steve McQueen, Papillon.
Tonight on the CBS night movie, Papillon.
I have a lot of Christmas specials on, like my dad taped on VHS tape that we would go back and watch. But it has the commercials, and when you go back and watch those 20-year-old VHS tapes, they the commercials are just as part of the movie as the movie. I mean, that's kind of
that's
when you used to.
Well, that's what we did with Night Owl.
Yeah, that's very true.
That's what we did with Night Owl Theater.
That's right. You put the commercials.
We put the commercials in the commercials that were
that
on
time.
At that particular time to give you the whole Fritz and Night Owl experience. We put in the old commercials as well.
I will say about that when you see it on TV and have to watch, a lot of the times it's the epics. Godfather, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit was on the other day. Where you can just watch 20 minutes and all right, okay, I got the gist of it too. You don't necessarily have to watch all of it, but you kind of popping in and out between football games and
you can flip around during
commercials. Yeah.
See, that would be another topic that would probably create outrage and disbelief.
Oh, movies that you can flip out of?
No, movies that like you mentioned, The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings,
right? Yeah,
and I've seen none of them.
Oh, well, okay.
Well, John,
I mean, if we're talking about that. That goes into also series now. These are conversations that happen at workplaces all over the country, which are like, oh, did you see the latest Game of Thrones? And I am someone who has never watched Game of Thrones.
Me. I've never seen Game of Thrones.
I have.
I did not see Game of Thrones.
I've watched part of the first episode, I think, 5 times.
It's an injustice.
And I've never made it all the way through.
It's a good series.
But there's so much on today that to keep up with all these shows, I don't know how some people do it.
And you cut the cord, and you still have too much to watch. Can you imagine my dilemma? Because now I have all these movie channels on cable, and I will come across every once in a while one of the guilty pleasure movies. So who are we going to start with as far as the guilty? Let's start with Hansberry because he was so excited. He actually brought a visual with him.
The audio guy brings the visual.
Yeah.
Exhibit A. Yeah. The long story short is, I was born in '84. Right. So growing up, it was the two comedians for me were Adam Sandler and Jim Carrey by far. And so then you kind of talk about are they good actors or good movies or not? But Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, which I have visual aids of VHS tapes. Hold on.
VHS tapes.
VHS
tapes.
Yes.
I have a shitload of VHS tapes.
If you forget what they look like.
You have a player?
Huh?
You got a player?
I have. Yes, I have a player. I think I have a player. Yeah, I have a player. It's not hooked up to anything.
For the YouTube viewers.
There you go.
Wow.
He's got Adam Sandler, Happy Gilmore for the audio listeners. Adam Sandler, Billy Madison.
Yes.
Are those two your guilty pleasures?
Yeah, but that's the thing.
All of them? All the Adam Sandler movies?
Well, and then I've also brought Wedding Singer, which is when
the
trifecta.
I think that's a sweet movie though.
Yeah, that's a nice movie.
Yeah.
But then when you talk about kind of the embarrassing, so the whole gag about The Wedding Singer is one Christmas I saw it, really liked the movie, great soundtrack.
Absolutely.
And so one Christmas I bought my sister this exact copy of of The Wedding Singer on VHS tape.
It's like a
and
gag
the
gift or
CD.
something?
No, and the CD. Like it was that Christmas where it came out. It was like a very like.
So you got the movie and the soundtrack to go with it, so
Right,
she could
great
listen to it in the
gift.
car
exactly.
or wherever.
However, really, I wanted it.
But the
and
80s
guess who has it? Me.
Is that the actual tape that you gave to your sister?
This is the actual tape that I gave to my sister.
But the 80s, that was a big
And-
thing. Movie soundtracks were some of the best-selling albums.
oh, for sure.
of
That's
the
what I
80s.
grew up on.
You know, Dirty Dancing, Footloose, Saturday Night, and even the late 70s, Saturday Night Fever. I mean,
even beyond that,
Wedding-
I grew up with like
Movie
going out and
soundtracks.
buying the soundtracks by John Williams, James Horner. You know, when I would go,
well,
when
that's a little geekish. Yeah.
Wedding Singer was
What are you
1998.
talking about? That's Star Wars. What are you talking
1998.
about?
Well, and then I wanted to bring it up because it's not necessarily embarrassing, but a lot of his other shit on Netflix and stuff is now. And I haven't seen the Rough Gems, movie
Uncut
yet.
Gems.
Thank you, Uncut Gems yet.
Which supposedly,
I don't know, have any of you guys seen it yet?
He got dissed.
But he in Punch Drunk Love, like he's a very talented actor, but he doesn't. I don't know if he does too many shitty movies that people don't give him the credit or whatever.
Everybody was amazed when Netflix cut him the deal that they cut him. You know, they thought, are you crazy? And then Netflix was like genius because when his first movie came out on Netflix, his Netflix produced movie, it had the most streams.
The one with Jennifer Aniston?
No.
Or
That's
something
the
other
first
No,
one.
there
I
was
think
one
was
before
was a cowboy movie of some
Oh
sort.
yeah.
Oh, right.
I didn't see it, but yeah.
It was dumb as shit.
wasn't it a takeoff of the
Magnificent Seven.
yeah,
Sort of, kind of. Yeah. Silly, dumb. Had his friends in it, and you know, made a ton of money.
And that's the
for
other thing I was gonna
Netflix.
say. Is like he's living the life. He's a bazillionaire, and he
His
just is like,
movies have
let's just-
made over $1 billion
let's just
at
make
the box
movies
office.
with our buddies. Like we can just go on vacation and call it Grown Ups 3 and make it a movie.
Yeah. I mean, even people that are somewhat interested in his movies are going to watch it because it's Adam Sandler, and they're going to make their money back.
Exactly.
And that's it.
All right, and then to kind of the same vein as of the '90s slapstick comedy, Jim Carrey was huge for me growing up. I mean,
There were
I've got
there
Ace
were a few
Ventura,
other actors. I
Liar,
can't remember
Liar.
them offhand who passed on Ace Ventura. And I was listening to an interview with David Greer, and everybody associated, and everybody in Jim Carrey's circle
Right,
at that
right.
time thought
what's-
the movie
what's
was
the
going
show
to
he did?
In Living
just
Color.
be a flop, you know, a death bell.
that it was a
They
go
probably
nowhere.
read the script and went, "What the fuck?"
It was a go
and
nowhere
it's-
movie.
It's a dumb movie.
But
it's
with
a
him,
dumb
it's
movie.
not.
Yeah, and then he just, you know,
So it'd
exploded.
be interesting to know how much of that movie is Jim Carrey adding to the movie, and how
movie.
much of it was that
Sure.
original script. I mean,
Well, I'm sure.
And I guess you look back at them as kind of cult classics, instant classics. I don't know how, but I wouldn't go into a job interview and they'd be like, "What's your favorite movie?" I'm like, fucking
Now, see,
Billy
like,
Madison and Ace Ventura, dude.
if it was guilty pleasures, you would have said like Ace Ventura 2,
Yeah, it was,
not the first one, right?
highbrow.
Yeah,
Ace
Ace Ventura 2 just it didn't make it. It didn't cut it for me.
That would have been the guilty pleasure, like
Yeah.
the movies that didn't make it.
Anyway, so those are my main ones. I have some other comments that I know we're going to get into, but I'll let some other people chime in.
Yeah, we're all gonna chime in.
Yeah.
you know,
But those are the ones I brought visual aids for.
Ah, yeah.
So
okay.
No
Whitney,
visual aids. Oh, okay. Joe versus the Volcano.
Tom Hanks and
Oh,
Meg
well,
Ryan.
Meg Ryan, yes, but also Abe Vigoda, Robert Stack.
Robert Stack.
Robert Stack. I'll bring up some of the names. on here,
Unsolved
dude.
Mysteries. Robert Stack. The
Yes,
Untouchables. Robert
Lloyd
Stack.
Bridges,
Lloyd Bridges, that's right.
Dan Hedye. You know what I'm talking about, Hedye?
Yeah, head yeah.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
a
yeah.
Carla's
hypochondriac-
husband on Cheers.
Yes. Ozzie Davis. Come on, man. This cast is gold, but people
Didn't get
they
that
got
movie.
panned.
They panned it.
Yeah.
They didn't get it.
They didn't get it. I thought it was brilliant, especially when you have a disease called a brain cloud. I'm doing a gesture that only people that love Ace Ventura and Joe versus
you just
Volcano only know. But it's just brilliant,
Well, the beginning of that movie is brilliant too, and I think
Yeah.
now it could be even more applicable
yeah,
to people
yeah.
who work in an office. Like,
Yeah, well, I remember.
locking
I
in
remember the fluorescent lights.
Yeah.
him looking
That-
up at him
that-
doing
that-
the
sucking,
doing the
the
Tom
sucking.
Hanks,
Yeah.
the Tom
And-
Hanks fast blink.
It got
Yeah.
a 54
Yeah, it's
audience
horrible.
score on Rotten Tomatoes, 62 critic score, so it's a little bit better.
And then the Dan Hedaya, I can't pronounce his last name.
Hedaya?
Hedaya is like for 5 minutes straight. I'm not arguing that with you. I know they can get the job, but can they do the job? I'm not arguing with that with you. I know they can get the job, but can they do the job? For 5 minutes straight, remember?
I do. That's a pretty good Dan. That's a pretty good Dan. Who knew you had such a gift for mimicry?
I don't know. But I just think that movie is brilliant, and people just don't give it a chance because Tom Hanks talks about it on talk shows as the worst movie he's ever been in.
Oh,
The biggest disappointment that he's ever been in, the worst movie.
Really? Because he
Yeah.
did. He did.
He
Turner
jokes
and
about
Hooch,
it. But he jokes about that
Bachelor
movie.
Party.
See, I think Bachelor
but
Party
those-
has
but
more of a
those
special
movies
place
made
in-
money.
Yeah.
Those movies.
well.
Okay. As far as flops, Joe versus the Volcano was a
Big flop, yeah.
I mean, if flops are compared to box office
Yeah,
money, if we were using
because
box
Turner
office
and Hooch
money to
actually
determine
made
flops.
money, and the Bachelor Party made a ton of
Yeah.
money.
A
put 'em
flop
on the map.
might be, that terminology might weigh into the guilty pleasure, I think, too, as well. Is people write it off, but hell, I liked it.
Hey man, when Abe Vigoda is the chieftain of an island that was
the chief of
survivors from a Jewish Hasidic Jewish slave ship
It's
that
brilliant
crashed.
casting.
Bonus?
You're talking Abe Vigoda, Tessio, and the
I love
Godfather.
Orange Crush. Come on,
Fish,
man.
Fish on Barney Miller.
That's right. Do you love her? Do you love her? Okay, you're married. Jump in the volcano.
He's wearing a what is this? A voodoo?
There it is.
Yes. I mean,
Put it towards the camera. Can the
Jesus.
camera see it?
yeah, probably.
Yeah,
I
there
don't
you
know.
go.
But I mean, there's just so many
Google.
little things in this movie. There's just so and.
You know what this conversation is going to do?
Yeah,
it's
what?
going to spur me on to watch some of these movies again.
Well,
I
I've
have Joe
never
versus the
seen it,
Volcano down
so-
on DVD. Downstairs.
I mean, I haven't seen Joe versus the Volcano, I think, since shortly after it came out.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I've seen it at least once a year, and if it's on TV,
And
I'll
I remember-
stop and watch
That's
it.
the, see,
And
that's
I remember,
the one.
I
You'll
remember
stop and
going
watch
to it because not so much for Tom Hanks. I was in love with Meg Ryan at that point.
Oh yeah, and she plays two characters. in
I
this
know.
movie.
I had a huge crush on Meg Ryan.
No,
back in
that
day.
was the first time they were paired together, isn't it?
No,
Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan?
Was that the first time?
Well, it was before You Got Mail.
Right.
And before Sleepless in
Sleepless.
Seattle?
In Seattle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It
Long
was.
before, I
Yeah,
think.
This was like
What year was Joe versus the Volcano?
All right.
1990.
Yeah, 1990.
See, I brought my laptop. I'm
There
coming
you go.
prepared with ammunition today.
All right.
Look up Sleepless in Seattle. When did that come out? The movie that they
We were
don't really
waiting.
even get together until the end.
With bated breath and
93.
anticipation.
93.
93,
Look at
okay.
Osbeck with the historical significant
I know.
data.
I
Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan.
I just love Lloyd Bridges in it too when he's trying to convince him to jump into go into the Wampui's island to jump into their volcano, you know. And he's like you're gonna die, you know. Live like a man.
Who directed that? Do you remember?
Live
who
like a king.
Do you remember who
like a
directed
man.
that movie?
That's a good
Oh
question,
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Joe versus the Volcano. I want to know if it was a director of
Some stature or
stature,
No,
notoriety.
Not really.
No.
He didn't do many movies. He
John
actually,
Patrick Shanley.
Yeah.
Sorry to say.
Oh, okay.
Shanley.
He's more of a writer.
Yeah.
He directed Doubt
He wrote it as well.
Yeah.
back in 2008 and wrote that. Joe
Yeah.
versus the Volcano. He wrote Moonstruck, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah. Like I said, more of a writer.
Yeah. What else did he do?
That's enough,
Doubt.
man. That's a great resume right there.
Oh,
Doubt.
Live from Baghdad. That was a movie that he did. Congo. All kinds of.
Yeah. No, he's
He's more of a writer.
more of a writer. He's definitely got
Yeah.
a strong resume.
Yeah.
So Joe versus the Volcano. I know you got at least another. There's got to be another one hidden in there somewhere.
Anything that was a Dick Clark produced origin story for a rock and roll back in the 70s and 80s,
Like what?
like Elvis,
Elvis was a Dick Clark. The TV movie
the
Elvis.
TV movie
TV
Elvis
with Kurt Russell?
with Kurt Russell.
Okay.
Ah.
So we're getting, there's connections that are going to be
Now we're
happening
going.
here.
Now we're cooking.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually, I believe that was directed by John Carpenter.
Really?
Yes, of all people, a made-for-TV movie.
it was
directed by
horrifying.
John Carpenter.
Okay, so this leads into what is at the top of my list.
Okay,
All right.
okay.
As far as guilty pleasures,
As far as guilty pleasures.
That's a
All
good
right.
segue. Go for it.
Here it is. And I'll start off with one of my favorite quotes from this, and I think I've got it right.
all right.
And you'll guess what it is.
Nobody
right?
will judge you if you don't.
This is Jack Burton in the Pork Chop Express. And I'm talking to anybody out there who's listening.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah,
Right?
there we go.
Kurt Russell, directed by John Carpenter.
And a cult classic.
86.
A cult classic for sure.
So it's a cult classic, but it's definitely one of my guilty pleasures.
guilty
And I don't
pleasure.
think it's
That's a
really
good one.
talked about that much.
No.
You know? I've seen a couple of T-shirts that say, may the wings of freedom never lose a feather.
And aren't they remaking it?
No.
Oh, no.
With I'm gonna look it up. It's with The Rock or something.
Oh,
Hold
you
on.
know what? I wouldn't be a bit
yeah.
surprised if they did.
That's really... Because
No.
who are you going to find to play Lopan other than
here we
James Hong? James Hong, the guy who played
the guy-
Lopan, the villain in the movie.
Yeah.
It's so wacky, and it's great to see Kurt Russell do
They'll get-
Kurt Russell and John Wayne. It's like
So-
every line he delivers is like John Wayne.
They'll get the guy from The Hangover, Ken Young.
Yes,
To play-
yes, you will.
to
Oh,
play-
okay,
to
all right.
play
Or Ken
James
Hung
Bond.
could play the
Ken-
who was the shaman Egg Shen in the movie was the character's name Egg Shen. What are you telling me, Egg? Right? Is that some kind of magic potion? Yeah. What do you do? Drink it? Yeah.
Do you think?
All right.
You think Big Trouble
it.
in Little China gets eclipsed for Kurt because of Escape from New York and bigger films? You know,
Oh, like with John Carpenter, right? Probably.
I don't know. Maybe. You know,
I just remember my brother brought it home on a VHS tape.
Yeah.
And I've never been able to let go of that movie.
Hasn't-
That is the
doesn't
top.
this one hasn't made my list of guilty pleasures, but I did come across it once again on my multitude of cable channels, and I watched it from start to finish. Tango and Cash. with Sly Stallone
Sly
and Kurt,
yeah.
and Kurt Russell, right? You know,
Yeah.
going against Sly playing the button-down, nice suit. You know,
Yeah.
they're both good at their jobs, but you know, kind of rivals. And then and I remember that women love that movie for one scene and one scene only. It's when they're the ass shots
Yes.
of them. You know, that was that. You talk to any woman who's seen Tango and Cash, you go, "Oh, the ass shots." Yeah, the ass shots of Sly and Kurt.
I've never seen that movie.
I haven't really had
Don't-
those kind
you're
of
not
conversations with very many
missing
women.
anything.
Yeah.
You're not missing anything by not seeing it. But you know, if you're, I don't know, bedridden and have no choice and stuck with one channel and it comes on, watch it.
I gave up on Sly after Rocky 4.
He gets some ass.
Rocky IV.
After Rocky IV, I gave up on him after Rocky V. I was in on Rocky IV. Rocky IV was okay.
There's Creed.
I love all the Rocky movies except 5.
Yeah. Yes.
5.
Except for 5.
5. But I thought he made a terrific Rocky Balboa after that
Didn't he
was
win
great.
Yeah, it was
something
great.
for
It
that?
was.
Didn't he?
What, Rocky Balboa?
I don't know
if
he won.
It was just called Balboa, I
nominated.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, so Big Trouble in Little China, 1986, and what I
86,
like
yep.
about that era is it's like there's starting to be some cool movie magic, but it's not computer generated yet. Right. So
it's
there's
like all still practical.
yeah. So
yeah.
I'm trying to think of some other stuff. Gremlins, like the face melting stuff in Indiana Jones. Like there's something really cool about that puppetry.
Best birthday gift I got this year was a candle of Tot. Remember the character Tot, the guy who grabbed the medallion in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and his face melts at the end. So there's a company out there, and I don't know if they still make it. There's a company out there that makes a candle that when it melts on the inside, it has his face and the blood. So when you light the candle and you let it go down all the way, it's as if he's melting at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
that's
It's a beautiful
sweet.
thing.
That's nice.
Beautiful.
I want that candle.
Come on over. We'll burn it together and
do
watch Big Trouble in Little China.
On VHS tape.
On VHS.
VHS.
I'll need to borrow Dean's VHS
I have to borrow.
machine.
I think, you know what? I've been debating whether to put a DVD player on this TV, or I think I'm going to put a VHS player on this TV.
I'll leave my Adam
you
Sandler
could find
and,
the
Jim
DVD
Carrey movies
VHS
here.
combo player and put it on there.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I had.
I actually had one of those.
Yeah, I had one of those too.
Yeah, I did. It broke. It's gone.
Why?
It's gone. I don't know. Can you still find VHS players? You can probably find them on Amazon.
Online, yeah.
VCRs, yeah.
I mean, cassette recorders or cassette players are coming back. I've seen a lot of those like new company
putting out cassette, the actual cassette,
actual
Vinyl,
cassette players,
cassettes.
everything
they're
comes back, man. I don't think 8-track's going to make a comeback.
I don't think anybody's also going to go out to buy a reel-to-reel anytime soon. To put it in there.
You never
Sold my
know,
8-track
man.
Player a couple years ago.
Just a couple
You
years
sold
ago,
your 8-track
your
player?
8-track
I
player.
had like one of those. There's like a not Rayovac.
A Rayovac. It's a
Sanyo,
battery.
No. It's got the lightning bolt on it. Anyway, so it was an older one. It's about this big, little cabinet one, about that big, about maybe 8 inches high, about 2 feet, and had 2 speakers, and you can put in the 8-track.
And they did not on 8
Realistic.
On 8 tracks, they did not care about any type of continuity.
No,
I mean,
'cause
you would be listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire on 8 track. You're a shining star, no matter who you are.
Yeah.
Shine right to be.
That's right.
For eternity. And it would just go. There was no continuity whatsoever. It just it would just go whenever it went.
Dude, when we were growing up, we had an apartment that would only get in one radio station. That shall not be named because we lived right next to it in the apartments. And my mom gave my brother and I, because we shared a bedroom, we had an 8-track AM FM alarm clock.
Nice.
Oh,
and so you could wake up to Eagles Live on an 8-track.
On an 8-track.
Nice. Or you could wake up to AM FM. It was a beautiful thing.
Dude, when I was a
nice.
kid, we had one of those as well, and it must have been a month straight. We would, because they would have those flow chart sheets, and they would play the same song pretty much at the same time every day.
Oh,
Right.
We'd wake up to
Yeah, we know.
we'd wake up to fucking sky rockets in flight.
Afternoon
Fucking
delight.
every fucking morning.
After.
It's like
What is this song about?
Groundhog Day. You wake up to the same song. Sunny and Cher.
Starlight Vocal Band.
Yes.
The last note: Dwayne Johnson's Big Trouble in Little China will be a continuation, not a remake.
Well, I don't give a shit.
Still bullshit. I agree.
Okay.
Is Kurt Russell going to be in it though? He's got to be in it, man.
All right. You stay close to that machine, because when we get
If
to
Kurt
Mike,
Russell is in it, there's a possibility that I might actually go see it. But if he's not in it, and I don't know.
Is John Carpenter
It
involved at all?
say. It doesn't say.
Is John Carpenter still?
Is he alive? Oh, he died, dude. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. Sorry.
so yeah, he's doing it.
in his dreams.
He said over my dead body, and they said, "Okay, let's go."
The Rock has signed half of his name.
He said
on the
action.
contract.
I didn't hear. He said action.
He said he can't smell what the Rock's cooking, so it's fine. We're going to make this movie.
right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No.
All right,
No.
Big Trouble in Little China. That kind of segued into that. Do you have another guilty?
So I think there's a guilty pleasure that is probably a good flop, not a big box office maker. That is one that I really like. It's from 2000 with Keanu Reeves.
All right.
Do not say Johnny Mnemonic.
Gene Hackman.
Oh, okay.
Keanu Reeves and Gene Hackman. Anyone?
No.
Don't you start. Don't look
I
down.
won't.
Keanu Reeves, Gene Hackman.
Jon Favreau.
directed it. Or
No,
is it?
is it in it?
Jon Favreau.
I don't even know.
The Replacements.
Oh,
Yeah,
Right about the football
team.
strike, and
Yeah,
so they
yeah,
gotta
yeah,
find
yeah.
all of
I do
these,
remember
like,
that movie.
scrappy other players. Gene Hackman is the coach.
Oh yeah, this got shit on 41% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well,
Shit.
it-
It was
I
not
love
a
that
good movie. It's not a good movie.
It's a great guilty pleasure.
That's
Fair enough. That's a guilty
That
pleasure.
one
That's
is a guilty
pleasure.
pleasure for me. The Replacements is
If
absolutely
Keanu
fun.
Reeves is in it, guilty pleasure.
And I can't remember the guy. If you can find the name of the guy who was the kicker, he was either Scottish or English. And they found this soccer player who was going to be the kicker punter.
Was he like an alcoholic?
Yeah, he was an alcoholic, and he
I knew
smoked.
it. I
He had
never
a
seen
cig-
the
he would
movie.
Come
I
out
know.
onto the field with a cigarette. It wasn't Dino Tripodis.
It wasn't Gus the kicking mule
Gus the Kicking Mule.
from Disney. Don Knotts. Remember
Is that on your list?
No, it's
Guilty
not on my
pleasure?
list, but I remember Gus the kicking mule. It was a mule that kicked field goals.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't. It doesn't say that what position they played. It just said
I think his name begins with an Ilaf or Ilaf.
Fazone.
I can't
That's an
remember.
excellent
All right,
choice.
all right.
The replacement.
Right, it's
It's sports.
It's a deep pull, but it's
Yeah.
man, there's something about it.
And that's probably one of those movies where they thought, we got Gene Hackman, we got
Hackman,
we got Popeye Doyle,
right?
we got Gene Hackman, Bonnie and Clyde, French Connection,
Keanu Reeves, this up-and-coming actor, right?
Keanu Reeves, hot ticket.
That was probably right around Matrix or after Matrix.
A no-brainer.
It was when was Matrix? Matrix was later.
Yeah,
Matrix
that was like 90.
And they're
or
making
something.
another Matrix.
Or 92, 93.
They are.
They're
No, but this
making
was
another
2000.
Matrix.
Okay, so it was 2000. So Matrix was what?
Not a reboot, right?
Keanu Reeves and
Oh, he's in it?
He's in it. Yeah, they're
Yeah, the
coming.
Wachowski
Oh, I guess-
peoples.
I guess
Yeah.
in that world, you don't really die.
1999 Matrix. So yeah, this was
Okay,
mid,
so it's right
mid
after
Matrix.
But the interesting thing is, I wonder when it was actually made, because I have a sneaking suspicion that movie might have been made before he went into production for
And they're
Matrix,
like,
and then it
"Oh,
comes
that's-
out later.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's
yeah,
been
yeah."
interesting being on film sets with people and talking with them about what they're shooting and what
movies
they're
get shot
filming,
and they don't come
and
out
then
for
what
years
gets
later.
released when.
Right, right.
That's a really interesting
Yeah.
process. Anyway.
Point Break. We've already talked about.
Point Break, Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves.
Right.
That's a good movie, though.
I mean, Johnny Utah from Ohio State University.
There
Come on.
he is.
That's a
I
good.
forgot about that.
That's a
Come
good movie.
on.
That's
Do you remember
a
when
good
Speed
movie.
came out?
I love
Yes.
Speed.
Dude, I remember like it was a big deal. We went to Blockbuster, got a VHS tape, popped it in, sat around.
If you
yes!
get it, because it was
so
always out.
intense.
It was always out.
And we like gathered around, and it was a big deal to watch Speed.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because I worked at a video store when I was in college years ago. So
in 1994-ish.
Back when VHSs were the thing.
yeah, you do the math, audience. And what we would do. We'd hold all the good movies.
Oh,
all the
yeah,
employees
yeah,
would hold
yeah,
all the
yeah.
copies
There
of the
you
good
go.
movies that we wanted to see.
I always knew that was the case.
Well, that is the case. Of course,
Even
it
with
is.
record stores, everybody knows that.
yeah, and then
That's
you
why
want
we
us to
work
be
there.
kind and rewind. Fuck you.
Oh, man.
Now,
You exert
now
yourself
where are
in
you,
whatever
Blockbuster?
kind of subversive way you can.
Jeff Bezos.
Why you say
That's a throwback.
Jeff Bezos.
That's a throwback from like 7 episodes ago.
Sorry. Had nothing to do with it. He's got something to do with it.
It had something to do.
That's a throwback to our Christmas episode.
It does. It's
If
a
you're a
throwback
whiskey
to
business
Christmas.
fan,
For some reason,
check
he
out
thinks that Jeff Bezos has something to do with
everything.
with the downfall of VHS and the format.
He's
completely.
behind everything, man. He's the puppet master. So what is your guilty pleasure, Dino?
All right, yeah, let's bring it around to you.
Oh,
I
man.
gave out a couple. Now let's
All
throw
right,
it back to you.
I have two. I'm going to start with my biggest guilty pleasure of them all. Is a movie that touched me, that spoke to me.
Can you show us
And
where
I,
on the bottle
and I
it
saw
touched
and I saw it right about. It's awful. Let me just name off the cast for starters. Sir Laurence Olivier.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good
so
far.
Pedigree. All right. And then we
Is he
drop
for an
down
Oscar?
to Neil Diamond
Oh, shit.
and Lucy Arnaz. Yeah. Not Lucille Ball, her daughter.
Yeah,
Lucy.
yeah.
I'm talking about the
Bring it-
jazz singer.
Yes.
The jazz singer.
Never seen it.
Oh, my God.
Never seen
You
it.
have to. Now, I think, why did I like this movie so much at the time it came out? Well, at the time it came out, I was writing music.
1980.
Yeah, I was writing music. I thought I was going to be. Osbeck knows. Osbeck knows this. You guys don't know it so much, but Osbeck knows that there is a treasure trove of angst-filled songs.
No, you've talked about it.
that I've written.
Yeah,
on cassette.
On cassette. No, you haven't heard them though.
Oh, well, yeah, I've heard
Yeah,
you talk
you-
about it.
John, you've heard him. Osbeck's heard him. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
from the '80s.
I'm sorry.
Some as well he should be.
Some of them, but
some of them.
there are some uncut gems.
There's
in
some
there, my
uncut
friend.
gems in there, and
Adam
and
Sandler.
that's Neil Diamond plays this rabbi's son who's supposed to follow in his father's footsteps.
Be the cantor of the congregation.
Yeah, but he wants
right?
to write music and he wants to pursue it. So he goes on this journey and breaks his father's heart. That's one of the most gut wrenching, awfully acted scenes ever. when Sir Laurence Olivier just goes, "I have no son," and he rips off and he goes, "Pop, pop, pop." Yeah, but
Pop.
yeah, it's
But what a soundtrack!
but then again, going back to those '80s soundtracks, the album was huge.
I think I have it on vinyl
It
and never
was
listened
huge.
to it.
Oh,
Yeah.
We're coming
Like I
to
inherited it from
America.
my dad.
I mean, every 4th of July
We're
fireworks
coming to
has.
Oh, is that
America.
from that movie?
Jazz Singer?
Disdain.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
damn.
from the Jazz Singer.
Okay, everybody knows that
That
song.
singer. You know, a
should
ton
be
of
a
great
soundtrack
songs on
with
the
that song.
soundtrack.
So,
but
by
the
the way,
movie on a whole,
The shittiest,
Horrible.
19% on Rotten Tomatoes.
oh, that's
You be
right.
okay. You win.
I
So
win.
far.
I win. I got the lowest.
I
You
thought
got
I
the
had it at
shittiest
41%.
movie. Yeah, you got the shittiest movie.
19%. The Jazz Singer, and I told Osbeck, and if you've never seen it, I'll invite you, and you can
Yeah,
come
let's
too.
watch it. Oh, thanks.
Kidding. Of course you would come.
I feel like that's a pond.
I'll
night,
bring
though.
the
When it gets
popcorn.
warm, we got to watch it out at the pond.
I don't know, man. If we ever get a really bad winter storm here,
We can hunker down and watch the Jazz
in
Singer.
Ohio.
I'll bring a PA system. We can just blare out.
I have surround sound speakers in the other room.
Come on, I'm just trying to earn my keep here, Dino.
You don't need to earn your keep. You've earned it.
All right, thanks,
You've worked
buddy.
with me
Thanks.
for how many years? You've earned your keep.
okay.
I mean, how
Yes,
many
yes.
songs from that movie are just great karaoke songs?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
It's
Right.
fantastic.
I'm gonna look up the
soundtrack. There's at least a
Hello?
minimum.
Hello? Right?
Hello.
Hello again.
Hello. There's at least 4 hits. 4 big
Love
hits.
on the Rock.
Love on the Rock.
That's right.
Hello again, America.
Ain't no surprise.
Songs of Life.
Songs of life.
Yeah.
Amazed and Confused. Summer Love. Cold.
Summer
Or,
Love. They called it Summer Love.
Yep.
on the Robert E. Lee.
Was he walking slowly down the street with his hands in his pockets?
There is a scene with him walking slowly down the street with his guitar. There is. There is.
I'm very
It's just-
sad
it's
right
just
now. So you just
strapped
walk
on
down the
his
street
back.
with your head down.
Strapped on his
Strapped
back,
his
yeah.
back.
I love it.
Wow.
Yeah, Jazz Singer.
And I always used to get that. I could never understand when I was young. Like, there's 2 jazz singers because I would always remember like.
There's an earlier-
Al
Al
Jolson.
Jolson.
The
Al
Jazz
Jolson,
Singer was the
right?
first talkie
Yeah.
in film history.
So
yeah.
I'd always I'd be like, which one are you talking about, Mom?
and but the jazz,
The less racist one.
and that's and
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was the same
same
thing, the same
essence of the story,
essence of
right?
the story as far as a
Yeah.
a
And
cantor.
I will say again, as the 35-year-old in the room, I was exposed to this plot line through The Simpsons, which
The Jazz Singer?
Yes,
No kidding. They actually-
Krusty the Clown is a
See?
Jewish clown, and his
See?
dad he wants to be a
It's-
clown. Da 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 da.
I
remember
Simpsons
that
plot.
episode.
It's got
Yeah.
a foundation of
I want to say Mel Brooks or not Mel Brooks. One of somebody is his dad, the Jewish rabbi. It's a hit.
Oh, yeah.
I'll look it up.
You're
I'm
gonna have to look
surprised. Honestly, I mean, talk about taking a piece of shit movie, which I love. It's my guilty pleasure. But that's something that I think they could translate to the Broadway stage and be a hit.
I think worse things have been put up on Broadway
exactly.
from movies.
I think they could.
Absolutely.
I think they could. But they're
And
probably timid.
You're talking about a book that's already really good,
Yeah.
right? I mean, the story.
The story is there.
But the book is fantastic.
Right.
We just went through a bunch of the songs that are fantastic in it.
Yeah. Big hit. The album was huge. The album probably made more money than the movie.
So you're saying I got a chance on Broadway?
But how did Laurence Olivier say yes to that movie?
What?
How did Laurence Olivier say yes to that movie?
So that's a really interesting question. Do you
Did
know?
he did he
I
owe
have
a lot
no
of taxes?
idea.
What,
I don't know
how?
if it was a paycheck for him.
was it
I don't-
a
I don't-
favor?
I don't know if it was a favor, a paycheck.
I mean,
don't
at
know.
that point, an Academy
What was the year?
Award-winning
What was
actor,
the year?
right?
1980, you said?
80,
80, yeah.
So he was older.
He was older,
He was in
but
his
still,
80s,
he had a
probably.
body of work that was
Maybe he was
just
friends with
amazing.
Neal Diamond.
Who directed that?
Oh, I don't know. Good question.
Jackie Mason, for the record.
Jackie Mason
plays
Directed it,
Krusty's
yes.
father.
Krusty's father, yes.
Jackie Mason directed the Jazz Singer.
Jackie Mason did- that
He
would
directed
make a
the
lot
Jazz
of
Singer.
sense. I did the Jazz Singer. I thought it was going to be a huge hit.
Richard
Action!
Richard Fleischer is the director, and a bunch
Done
of
it.
other people.
And a bunch of other people, more than one director.
Sidney J. Fury is uncredited.
So they probably
Yeah,
started out
just-
with one
they-
director,
yeah.
and then somebody else came in and took over.
But the
I
soundtrack,
can't work like this. This acting is the worst.
But I did. I
out.
identified with that film because
Olivier just belittles me all the time.
he was supposed to be, cantor. He's supposed to follow in his father's footsteps. I, at the time,
Okay, so here's where it ties in, right? The
you know,
emotional
I was,
part of it.
I was married and working 2 jobs I hated, but I thought my music was. I had to give up my music and focus on other things, and I related to that film on some level. And you guys don't know this. He and I have been talking. I'm going back to unearth some of that music and do something with it. I don't know what. Some of them are god awful, and maybe we can have some laughs on this podcast.
Sometimes
with
those
them.
are the
But
hits.
some of them, your career as a songwriter might not necessarily be.
We got equipment. We should record an album
think
and
about doing.
release it online for people to buy if they want.
We could. Call
I got
it,
a microphone.
Just for
well,
fun.
We got some new stands.
There's
Hey man, we got the technology.
There is a upstairs. There's a reel-to-reel tape. You were talking about reel-to-reel. You were talking about reel-to-reel, where I actually went in somebody's basement and did a halfway decent recordings of the songs because
Demos.
I took the cheap way out on copyright, and I copyrighted them all as a collection, so I could get them all done in one fell
Yeah, so you
swoop.
didn't have to do them all as individuals.
One thing.
Yeah.
So there's a reel-to-reel which I'm going to have transferred over to a CD, and then maybe we can consider
VHS tape.
the VHS tape. But you can hear some of the. Yeah. There was a lot of angst. There was a lot of angst in this 20-something-year-old. I mean, a lot of angst. Songs like "Forgotten Dreams" and "Watch the Years Pass By" and a song about my father, Daddy Dear, which I think could be a huge country hit. But
All right, enough's enough. You got to play some of these things for us later.
yeah, maybe.
I've heard about these songs, but
Never. No, well, I'm gonna unearth them, and then maybe that could be a.
Maybe those are going to be the Broadway hit.
That could be that. That would be a.
Put them all into a musical.
That could be
Dean.
an interesting whiskey business podcast. If we, it could be a musical. It could be
and they could become everybody's guilty pleasure.
It could be a guilty pleasure.
Wait, what are you saying about?
I don't know.
All right, my second
What
guilty
else? Yeah.
pleasure film.
Okay.
and this one is the one you're gonna have to look up because I think this was talked about being remade with a female.
Ronda Rousey, right?
Right, Roadhouse. Gentlemen, I think it's time for you to leave. Hansberry sent me that clip today.
Now I think that I could go for in a remake.
Well, and again, 37% Rotten Tomato. Like,
But also a cult classic. I
Cult
mean,
classic.
it's Patrick Swayze and it's Ben Gazzara.
Yeah, who played the other bouncer though? The guy with the big mustache.
Oh, it was
Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
Fuck
Sam
yeah.
Elliott was great.
So what's for dinner?
Yeah.
What's for dinner, dude?
I love Roadhouse.
I had never seen it. I had until college. So we're talking about like maybe 2002. My college room was like, "Ooh, you want to watch Roadhouse?"
And when did that movie come out?
What did we say? 89. But again, like kind of the guilty pleasures thing, I felt a little like weird, but also awesome that I'm watching it alone in my dorm room with my college roommate buddy.
So there's a lot of six packs, a lot of oily guys. You know,
I mean, it was
those
the
haircuts. Yes, the haircuts.
We've
a lot of good
talked
hair
about
there.
the ass shots in
know
Tango
what
and
I'm
Cash.
saying.
I said that the women like the ass shots and Tango
we
Cash.
just-
Much
we
like the
talked
women,
about
much like all the women love the volleyball scene in Top Gun.
Well, of course. And now,
And now Top Gun. You don't think there's going to
Top
be
Gun
a
Maverick?
You
It's
don't,
absolutely
You don't
gonna
think
be-
there's going to be a volleyball
I
scene?
believe there's gonna be a volleyball
in Top
scene.
Gun Maverick. You know
There's
damn well there's
absolutely
going to be a
gonna
volleyball scene.
It'll be
Yes.
like something
true.
updated. Lacrosse. It'll be a lacrosse. The
cricket scene.
Notebook director Nick Cassavetes
Cassavetes.
has been tapped to write and direct the new Roadhouse remake with Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey, and I've been hearing that for the last 3 years.
Yeah. What's the date
This
on that
was
article?
2015.
Dude,
so
I think
it
they
might be
canceled.
dead.
I
It might
think
be
they
dead.
canceled
I
it.
think they
You're right,
must have
it
done
might be
because
dead.
she popped up on
Well, she can't act, dude.
a Fox show 911.
She's not much of an actor.
she seems like an interesting personality, but her acting
Yeah.
chops just aren't there, you know?
She did all right on a TV show, but she only had
I think that other girl that's like big, kind of growing right now. She was in Haywire. She was just
Was
in,
Haywire the Soderbergh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then she was also in The Mandalorian. She's starting.
Yeah.
Gina something or other. Gina something.
Yeah.
She's a better actress than Ronda Rousey. So if they rebooted that idea with her, it probably would work.
That's a good call. I like that. I like that.
I hold the same thought process that Osbeck had with Big Trouble in Little China. Leave it the fuck alone.
Carano.
Leave it alone.
Carano.
Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Leave it alone.
And she's
just
a
like
badass.
just like I never saw the remake of The Longest Yard. Why did they remake The Longest
Okay,
Yard?
Because Adam Sandler was
Right?
attached.
That's right.
And Burt Reynolds.
I never have either, and you can't.
no.
you can't do
Why
that.
why mess with that movie?
And
So
that-
that
and
brings
that was
in.
one I never
We
saw.
got another tie into a guilty pleasure
Why
that
remake
I
movies?
absolutely love.
Go ahead.
Which is from 1977. Directed by Hal Needham.
Smokey and the Bandit?
Smokey and the Bandit.
Smokey.
Now
Yeah, but that was a very popular movie.
That was very popular,
Very
but it's a
popular
guilty
movie.
pleasure now because nobody really knows that movie anymore.
Not really.
And we can talk more about Smokey, but
Eastbound down.
You-
Load it up
and
and trucking. Oh, wait.
We're
hold
gonna
on.
get to.
We don't want to get banned.
no.
Sorry, YouTube.
The fact of
We just,
the
we
next
just recited
generation-
half the songs on the jazz singer, but you're gonna stop us on Jerry Reed.
Jerry Reed. Jerry Reed.
You're gonna stop us on Jerry
Man,
Reed.
Jerry Reed's lawyers are fucking badasses, man.
Yeah, his family's nuts. So the idea of the next generation of fans, movie fans, discovering things like for example, I was always embarrassed to tell my friends that I liked Psycho, which is obviously is one of the best
Why?
Psycho movies because I was
Why?
because I was a young movie fan that like. I couldn't like imagine being like, hey guys, let's sit around and watch Psycho together.
Oh my god!
So and that's maybe not a tit for tat for Smokey and the Bandit, but the fact of like these like amazing movies when they came out or critically acclaimed when they were out. 10, 20, 30 years later,
Sure.
you try
Do
to
they
be like,
still hold, like,
hey
right, do they have,
buddies,
like-
let's get around and watch, Lawrence of Arabia, huh? That's a classic.
Well,
let's
you know
go.
what, 'cause, all right,
I did that with my friends. I don't know what you're
But
talking
if
about.
you could hang around with the right, if you were
That's
hanging
why.
out with guys
With
that actually appreciated and had an appreciation for cinema
Films and
and
stuff.
films,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I could see that. But you're talking about guys like what Lawrence of who?
Yeah, yes. I mean,
Yeah, I get it,
you're
I
trying
get
to
it.
like play that balance of like retro hip
You
and
should've
and film
stood up. You
appreciation
should've
versus
stood up.
like.
You should've, fucking Psycho's
You
a great Alfred
guys!
Hitchcock movie.
You
guys
guys,
understand?
come on!
Yeah.
I know we want to watch Adam Sandler again, but Psycho's great too.
Well, if you did it like that,
yeah,
Come
then
on,
I might not have it.
guys!
It's pretty appealing.
I swear, Puff Daddy does the soundtrack.
Smokey and the Bandit.
But yes, all right.
Also,
not to
speaking of
But
with
that cast.
that cast with Burt Reynolds, Sally Field, Jerry Reed, and of course Jackie Gleason.
Jackie Gleason.
Jackie
It
Gleason.
got
And,
an 85 on Rotten
uh,
Tomatoes. So there you go.
Who played his? He was
His
Who was
son.
Junior?
He was
Because
a football player.
and he played Tarzan
Yeah.
in a Tarzan movie in
Alec
the
Karras?
60s. No, Mike
Henry?
yes,
Mike Henry.
Mike
Yeah,
Henry. Right?
Yeah, Mike Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's he's
Daddy?
got some.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got like a
When I get
14
home,
pack.
I'm gonna smack your mama in the mouth.
I cannot believe that you came from my loins.
And the other one is, give me a Dr. Pepper and a Diablo sandwich and make it. What's it?
Love it.
Make it snappy.
Make it
Was
because I'm
was
in a
snappy?
goddamn hurry.
Jackie Gleason was awesome in that.
And getting Jackie Gleason for that movie at that time seems almost like getting Sir Laurence Olivier
Right.
for coming
Right.
for the jazz singer. I was going
Right.
to say for coming to America.
Yeah.
That's not right.
Same thing.
I don't know. Sally Fields was a pretty big star at that point. She did a lot of movies.
Yeah,
Well, it was a hit at the
She was
time.
actually
And I mean,
had been nominated for an Academy Award at that point. I think
Yeah,
for
Norma Ray.
For Norma Ray.
Yeah.
But it's interesting they give it to like Hal Needham, who wrote and
Right,
directed that
right.
movie, who had never done anything really before.
But he was
that.
buddy.
Oh,
but
he
he
was
was
a
buddies.
stuntman.
But he was buddies with Burt Reynolds.
He was buddies with Burt
Super
Reynolds.
tight.
So is it Burt Reynolds who got that movie made with
I would
Hal
think.
Needham
direct?
was the most respected stuntman in Hollywood.
And that's
at the time.
also the inspiration for another guilty pleasure, which
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what this Rotten Tomatoes is, which is Hooper.
Oh, Hooper.
With
Also
Jan
Hal-
Michael Vincent.
Also directed by Hal, because J. Michael Vincent plays the up and coming
Stuntman, and Burt Reynolds is
on
the
his way
seasoned-
out.
right, he's the-
right.
Not
Yeah.
not too shabby. 69.
69.
Hooper.
60, 60 audience score.
Because it's all leads up to
it's
that
not
big
great.
jump that they're going to do in the car at the end. Remember of Hooper?
Kind of.
Reynolds
I
with the
saw it when it
bubble gum.
Hal
first
Needham
came
also
out
did
in a
Cannonball
drive-in movie
Express.
theater, and I
Cannonball
wasn't
Run.
paying
Or Cannonball Run.
Which is also
Um,
being talked about being
Cannonball
remade.
Express.
And that one,
Cannonball
I think,
Express?
Cannonball Run.
Cannonball Run.
Cannonball Run.
Sorry.
I said it wrong the first
Yes.
There's Cannonball Run, and then its weak imitator was Gumball Rally.
Yeah, that's right. Gumball
Is that
Rally.
really a movie?
Yeah.
Gumball Rally.
Well, that is nobody's guilty pleasure. so-
Nobody's guilty pleasure. Cannonball Run was great. I love Cannonball Run. Cannonball Run 2,
Cannonball Run have Bruce Lee in it?
Cannonball
Run?
Cannonball Run
2 had
I
Bruce
think,
Lee
had
in it.
Bruce
But
Lee in it.
Cannonball Run had Dean Martin, didn't it?
Well, I
And
can't
Sammy
remember-
Davis Jr.?
I can't remember if they were in the. I think they were in the second one.
Was that in the second one
the
also?
second one? Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
about.
But Dom DeLuise.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun. Hey, JJ.
And they're talking about now in Cannonball Run. I've heard that about in remake, and that's one that they could probably get the right bevy of
Popular
stars
actors at
and-
this
and to
time.
do
You pull in
Cannonball
like
Run.
people like Kate McKinnon and all the
There you
good
go.
comedic actors.
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler.
Will
you get a
Ferrell.
bunch of people to do Cannonball Run again.
And that's where they
Jack Black would be the new Dom
that's what they're-
DeLuise.
Oh my!
on the race.
That what?
That's where the race. What's the one where they like all crash? Somebody crashes and they're like, "Oh, the gold! It's on the such and such."
Talking about it's a mad
Yeah.
World,
That's
yeah.
the same. That all those
How
are the
many
same
mads
movie
are
to
in
me.
that?
I don't know. I
You
always
said
say
a lot.
I always said too many just to cover my base.
I used to own one reel of Mad World.
What on like 16 or 35?
35.
Oh my!
One reel of it? Why one reel? You didn't get the whole film?
Well,
What would you
fucking
do
movie.
How
with
did you get
one reel?
this?
You had a Mad
How did
World.
you come across
you had a Mad World. That's all you had.
Ohio State had an editing
Mad State.
thing, and they would give. I got this print, and I was like, I'm just taking this home.
Taking it.
Oh, so it was,
It was,
Ohio
in a,
State.
it was in a closet. Yeah, I stole it.
I think the statute of limitations have
And
expired.
I think I'm okay.
And you
I
talk
think that went away when the film department got
That's right.
disbanded.
Going
so.
back to what Hansberry said about not being able to being in the moment and having to do everything. It's a mad world. I mean, all the crazy shit that goes on in that movie, and there's some incredible stunt work in that
Slapstick
movie.
stunts.
A lot of people got hurt on that film.
Yeah.
Making it because they do some outrageous shit, and they actually did it. It wasn't anything, it wasn't.
I'd love to see that movie again. I haven't seen it.
It pops up on
30
Turner
years.
Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, it does.
I feel like I've seen it with my dad
As a
on,
reg?
on Turner
I may have it
Classics.
I may have it downstairs.
No way. On VHS?
On DVD.
Boy,
maybe.
it's a long movie though, from what I remember.
It's like 2.5, 3
Yeah.
hours.
It's a
Yeah.
long movie. It's one of those movies that if you saw it back in the theaters back in the day,
There was an intermission?
There was an intermission.
Yeah.
There was an intermission. Yeah,
I think it was called it's CinemaScope too. It's like pretty wide. Yeah.
Yeah, Stanley Kramer, I think, was the director of that one.
I thought you were going to say Stan Lee.
Stanley from
Stanley
Star Wars
Kramer was the director.
or superheroes.
you guys. In action.
But they pulled out anybody that was anybody
At that
particular
time, right.
And then people that it's just like when we have a movie now and we all of a sudden they pull, like say if we make a movie now
like
in,
Wes
the,
Anderson
in the
or
2020s, we'll pull an actor
Tarantino.
from the 80s into this film.
Yeah,
like
but-
people remember they did the same thing in Mad World with like the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and
It was like everybody was popular in the 50s with everybody who came up in what was his name? Coca, MG Coca.
Buster Keaton was
Buster
in it. I
Keaton
think.
was in it, but there was a show on CBS in the 50s. It was a big variety
Oh,
sketch
Sid Caesar?
show.
Shows.
Sid Caesar.
Shows.
There's all these people that was on the show of shows are in this fucking movie.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, so that was Stanley Kramer. Yeah, you're right. Spencer Tracy, Milton Berle, Sid Caesar, Buddy Hackett,
Yep.
Mickey Rooney.
Jim Backus. Jim Backus is in that movie. There's a scene with
Jonathan
Buddy
Winters.
Buddy
Forgot about
Hackett
that.
and Jim
From
Backus,
Dayton.
and he's flying
Jonathan
the
Winters
plane.
from Dayton.
And it's
Yes.
absolutely
Jim Backus is known for
to Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
yeah. But Jim Backus is absolutely. There's a scene in that movie with Jim Backus in the plane, and he's drinking, he's making martinis, and it's absolutely hysterical. For that scene alone, I would sit through that whole.
Do you think he was actually drunk?
Probably.
Okay.
Can I say
It was practical effects.
One of Dino's. I'm going to call you out on one of your guilty pleasures.
All right.
Right.
And I will honestly. I mean, I'm not trying to fisticuffs with you, but
We've never had actual fisticuffs on the podcast.
this
but
might be it.
maybe
This might
tonight's
be
the
it.
night.
This might
Just
be
wait.
it.
Wait.
I
want you to see my reaction when he says it.
Well, I gotta remember what it's called. What's the Irishman? The
Irishman?
No. I'm gonna edit this part out. The video might be.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say. You're talking about the quiet.
Oh
Man.
yeah.
Oh, you son of a bitch!
Hold on,
Joe,
let me give me
you
a clean at it.
son
Let
of
me
a
give me a
bitch.
clean at it. The Quiet Man. The Quiet Man. You watch it every
St. Patty's Day.
Yes, who doesn't?
What is wrong with that?
Me?
Boy?
Never
Anybody,
seen it.
yeah,
Seriously.
anybody,
Never
everybody
seen it.
but you
Wrong with him.
two.
John Wayne.
those of you listening on
Maureen
audio-
O'Hara.
You don't know that I'm looking at the camera right now for YouTube because I can't even turn around and look at Hansberry right now.
The man, he religiously watches it. He'll come home from the
quiet,
bar.
I'll come home from the bar no matter what my
sloppy
state.
drunk.
Yes, no matter
He'll
what
pop
my
it
state of
on.
mind. Yeah, put
it's
it in.
a fucking 4-hour long
It's not
movie.
a 4-hour
Yeah,
movie.
it feels like it.
It's not.
It
No.
feels
Oh
like
my
it.
God! It's directed by
No.
John fucking Ford, one of the greatest
John
directors
Ford's
that
good.
Hollywood has ever seen. It's a wonderful movie. What is wrong with
It's
you?
the slowest
When you can
movie
see
I've
John
ever
Wayne do something with one
seen.
word when he gets thrown that towel and he says, bar towel.
Yes, and one of the greatest fights.
Guilty pleasure.
One of the
Never seen
greatest
it.
fights
Oh,
in
that
movie
goes
history.
across the
They go all the way across
This
the
is
thing.
the definition of a guilty pleasure. A movie that
I don't know
you-
if that's a definition of a
Yes.
guilty.
Yeah,
It's
but
a
it wasn't
classic.
that you
People
two
liked
are
it,
just
right?
like in love with. John's never seen. I was force fed to watch it because Dino tells me to watch it every
I don't
March.
tell you to watch it. I told you
Every
to watch
March.
it. I told you to
Every
watch
March
it one
you
time
tell me
on
to
St.
watch
Patty's Day.
it.
I
Every
tell you
March
every
you
year
tell me to watch it.
And have you ever
Go to your room. I've watched it.
Are you watching it when you're drunk after St. Patty's Day? Because
I've tried to watch it both ways.
Have you tried to watch it sober?
I've given it a shot. Sober
What don't
and
you like
sloppy.
about that movie?
It's just a long, slow John Wayne movie.
There's no such thing.
All right, okay, I'm gonna type it into Rotten Tomatoes right here.
You good?
What's it called again?
The Quiet Man. He said very
As he
loudly.
said, yes, you yell it.
It's the Quiet Man. It's the Quiet Man.
All right, it's 91%.
Thank
All right.
you.
Oh,
91%.
All right.
I wonder why. It was only nominated for Best Fucking Picture the year it came out.
Fair enough.
Now, have there,
I wasn't
have
alive
there been
by
any
then.
of the movies that we've talked about previously that have actually been nominated for any Academy Awards?
Ace Ventura.
No.
Best dolphin work.
Best off.
Best supporting actor, Dan Marino.
Best use of a mascot, or best abuse of a mascot.
You got any
I think.
gummies?
Damn,
All right, the last thing I want to bring up, you guys can keep going.
How we
but,
doing on time? Look at the
We're
clock.
getting there. That's why I'm going to bring this
right
up.
in an hour.
Okay,
Right in an hour.
we talk about guilty pleasures, kind of like embarrassing things. One of my guilty pleasures that is actually nominated for Oscars, probably won Oscars, is West Side Story. Musicals. We haven't touched on musicals.
How
Okay,
is
so
that
this is also being remade.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Spielberg.
with
coming out
Spielberg.
this year with Spielberg. Yeah, and a lot of people are like holding their breath on that one.
Yeah, so Grease, West Side Story, Jesus Christ Superstar are my three favorite musicals. And mainly film. I've never seen any of them.
I gotta admit,
in
I was
theater.
drunk a few. Believe it or not, I was drunk a few weeks ago.
No.
and it was a Friday night. It was like 1:00 in the morning, and for some reason, I started thinking about Jesus Christ Superstar. I found it on YouTube, and I fucking watched it.
It's
The
good.
whole thing.
The
You
whole
watched
fucking
the whole
thing.
thing.
So I mean, I
But
think
Jen was
I
like,
think the
"Why did you
music
go to bed at 4:00
soundtrack-
in the morning?" I'm like,
It was Jesus.
I was watching
Jesus Christ
because of
Superstar.
Jesus.
Mary Magdalene hooked me.
West Side Story is a great movie.
It didn't win Oscars. Although I'm going to look.
Oh,
it
it
up.
won
It
a ton of-
absolutely
it won
did.
Best Picture.
I mean,
It won Best
Okay,
Picture
so
and a
West Side
slew of
Story.
Oscars.
My mom took my brother and I
Slew.
to see it when the traveling Broadway show came to Columbus in the early '80s, and we saw West Side Story, and that was one of the first. I remember that's one of the hallmark things in my memory of seeing a play or a musical that made me really think, man, I want to be a part of like doing something like that, and it was
And I
it was
think
absolutely amazing.
That's the excitement inside. That it's like this is not just a movie. There's this other thing, the record. Or CD or
Right,
you know,
the soundtrack. Right, the soundtrack.
and then
Let
you
It
see it
Burn
live
Stein.
on stage, like.
I'll have to Oklahoma.
But I guess
too.
again, it goes to the fact that like my parents luckily exposed me to this early. So like I'm in 8th grade, really digging out to the West Side Story soundtrack. It's not like I'm gonna be like, hey,
It's a great
guys,
soundtrack.
Come on over.
There's so many great
and let's
records.
watch
Well,
Happy
and I
Gilmore and
think
listen to the
also-
West Side Story soundtrack. Let's do it.
I mean, if we dive a little
You've
deeper, let's
changed,
say
Greg,
it's
you've
8th grade,
changed.
right? You're experiencing this in 8th grade when you're discovering like first loves, and you're having things where you're like, I want to be with this girl, and it's a story about a
And
guy and a
music.
girl
I
who
think it's more
can't be
music
together,
tied
right?
to
Romeo
it,
and Juliet.
Yeah.
That's what it
It's
is, yeah.
absolutely
It's
that.
Romeo
Well,
and
yeah,
Juliet.
it's absolutely
Yeah,
that.
it's right,
But that's like the perfect time to get that.
Yeah. Well, but at the same time, you're not. It's not like you're
we're
like
down on our
hip,
knees,
hip to your
'cause there's
buddies.
Nothing like a kid with a social disease.
Love it. I'm trying to look up
you're a
their.
jet all the way from your first cigarette to your last dying day.
When it, Did you guys ever see that Saturday Night Live sketch with Norm Macdonald? He's like they do like the snap in guys, and he starts singing. He's like, no, nobody else, no, nobody else.
Well, and there's a cultural reference when you see somebody doing this
On SNL, yeah.
right? You think, yeah.
So Spielberg's is supposed to be December of 2020.
Yeah. It's you know, and I
With
have faith.
the kid from Baby Driver, right?
Right. Elgort something.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. He's one of those actors' names
And-
that I can never remember.
Ansel.
Yeah, and so Elgert.
Oh yeah.
Rachel Ziegler, and they're casting kind of no names, is what he'd like to say.
Well, now here's the other interesting thing about the original movie version is that Natalie Wood was playing a Latina,
Right.
Yeah.
and definitely not a Latina at that time, right?
No.
Well, yeah. At that time, they didn't hire Latinos or black people.
I like how it's called
Rita Moreno
crime
was
drama.
her sister, right?
on IMDb, it's categorized as crime drama musical.
Well, there's crime
Okay,
in it.
all right.
There's
You
crime.
don't want to
And
spoil it
that's
for anybody who
crime
has
and
drama.
There's a couple of knife fights in there.
There's some
musical,
death.
yeah. And you mentioned Grease.
Grease.
Grease was huge.
Grease is now my daughter loves Grease.
And my wife loves
Absolutely
Grease, too.
loves
That
it.
one-
My daughter is
that one seems
almost
to-
18 right now.
That one,
and
it's
one of her
interesting
favorite
how that
movies
one
to watch
seems
is
to transcend
Grease.
generations.
Yeah.
Well, and you just said something too, and made this as like a masculinity thing. Like you say, my wife loves these things, and I think of musicals as very.
No, I mean just that movie.
No, yeah, but it's like as a guy, is it a guilty pleasure because you're like kind of, well, that's a girl film.
Well, I think it depends on maybe the environment that you come up in. Because for me, it was I was raised on theater and Broadway and film. So
love musicals.
You know, I remember some of the early plays and musicals that I saw were West Side Story, La Cage aux Folles,
Bye Bye Birdie.
Bye Bye Birdie. I was actually in a summer camp production that we did when
My
I was
daughter
in middle
was
school.
in Grease. She played
Right.
Rizzo. I remember sitting through many performances, watching her make out with a guy, and it made me very uncomfortable.
She was good at it.
Yeah,
A little too good at it.
She was great. She was great. She was great
Where,
at it.
where was this?
She's at,
in high
Columbus
school?
Children's
Oh,
Theater.
okay.
Yeah.
CCT.
Yeah. She did. She played Rizzo. She did great. She also was in Into the Woods. She played the witch.
Oh wow. Okay.
I know. That was her senior year in high school, junior or senior year.
Well, she's got
I
a
was
voice
Into the
that-
Woods. I
Yeah,
played
my
the old
daughter-
man.
My daughter was into the. I cried every night. I saw it every night, and I cried every night. She was awesome.
Well, I ended up being Tony in the 8th grade version of West Side Story
Really?
at
You
Jones
did it
Middle
in the
School.
8th grade?
8th grade. We
Over here.
It was like came full circle. I ended up seeing it, I think, a year or two before, and then I ended up being Tony. It was great. It was
Nice.
One of my favorite favorite
awesome.
West Side stories ever was it took place on a Monday night poker game. Not here, when I lived in my old apartment on East California.
California, yeah.
And we would play albums like we still do now. And my friend Paulie put on the West Side Story soundtrack, and When You're a Jet came on, and
I'm already visualizing
Did it stop the game?
this weird. I wish it could have been filmed, Whitney, because it was like this. It's like, when you're a jet all the way, and everybody started, and it's like fun, like all these guys, guys, smoking, drinking guys, knew the words to that song.
But that's just it.
Okay, so but the song goes on, and as it continues to grow and grow, it throughout the song. By the time the middle of the song gets there, and towards the end, nobody's playing cards. Everybody's standing up by the end of the song, because when you're a jet, you stay a jet, and it stops, and then everybody goes right back down. All right, who's in? Didn't miss a beat. All right, who's in? What's the game? Is that like it never happened?
There are no labels when it comes to the love of West Side Story.
Well, but that's a testament to what it tunes into, man. It tunes into that. It was supposed to represent the smoking, the drinking guys of that time, right?
Right.
The toughness of that
Spielberg
time.
has a hit with it, but it's like some things you don't mess around
It's
with.
kind of like remaking Big Trouble in Little China. I'm not sure about it yet.
It's a continuation.
I mean, you mentioned
okay.
Off the podcast, you mentioned Papillon as one of your favorite movies.
Yeah.
Did you see the remake?
They did a remake, and the remake flopped.
No fucking way would I.
Right,
see
because
that
it had
fucking
what?
remake.
Charlie Hunnam? Was it Charlie Hunnam? No.
I couldn't tell you.
And the guy from Mr. Robot, the one who was
Rami
in
Malek?
Rami
Yeah,
Malek,
Rami Malek, yeah.
and I can't remember who was the other guy.
Yeah, I'm not. I will
played
not
the Steve
see
McQueen
a-
role.
I'm really. I'm averse to remakes, to tell you the truth. I can't stand them. Come up with something a little more unique and creative and new, guys. Come on,
Yeah, well,
it drives me crazy.
that's
Like, I refuse to see Little Women, not because I don't think it's probably a good movie, but because it's like the 4th fucking remake.
But this remake, I will have to say, I saw it a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic.
Okay, great. I'm not going to see it.
Because have you seen another
Hollywood's
version
not
of
gonna
it?
Yes, I have.
Which version did you see?
I've seen the one from the 40s, I believe, when it was made, and then the one that was from like 10 years ago. I've seen 2 versions
Okay.
of it.
All right. Well,
You know, Hollywood, you
So-
want my money? Make something a little something.
What if they reboot it
That's
again, but call it like Littler Women?
I don't think that would be a good look for me to walk into a movie theater that says Littler Women.
Littler Women.
I just don't think that's
Yeah.
a good move all the way
And they
around.
do it, and they
So-
do it all with 4-year-olds.
Oh no!
Wait,
Your
they're all
daughter could be a star.
wait, they're all sisters
She
who
just
are 4
turned
years
5.
old.
Fine.
So-
All right.
It's just odd.
All right.
Should I mention Space Camp at this time? No, I don't want to mention that.
Oh,
sorry.
we could, this
No,
week,
we're
we,
done.
we need to wrap it up.
Because well, no, yeah.
Well, we need to start wrapping things up. But it's been an interesting, enlightening
This
conversation.
was fun, especially coming off the heels of
Oscars.
and,
Right?
and what the official.
And can you believe that
people
that won
say-
for Best
I know,
Picture?
that's-
Oh my God!
Can you believe that?
I can't
Lord
believe it.
Almighty. I thought Adam
can't
Sandler
believe
was
it.
going to get the nod. He was like they were like he's not nominated, but Rough Gems or whatever it's called is still
keep on
gonna.
thinking of other words.
He's
Uncut
gonna,
gems.
he's gonna come.
That's right. And that thing
He's
that
like a
one guy
write-in
said.
vote,
Oh
a
my
write-in
God!
vote, a
That
write-in
thing that one
vote.
guy said. Fuck.
Diamonds in the rough. It was great.
Are we done?
Sure.
We're close to done. We're close to done. We need to do a couple of things before we wrap things up. Also, remind you of, first of all of our social medias that you need to be a part of and join us in. Whiskey Business Podcast on Instagram.
Yeah.
Whiskey Biz Show on Twitter. And Facebook, of course.
Yep.
YouTube, Whiskey Business with Dino Tripodis.
And we actually had some. If you're listening to this right now, we had some visual aids. I had some VHS tapes.
You should check those out.
just
check
saying.
on the
those out.
YouTube
Check
channel.
those
I'm
out.
actually. I'll probably put
You got a
those
review you're
pictures-
gonna
I'll
read?
put those pictures up on Instagram.
Of course,
too, yeah.
you can listen to Whiskey Business wherever you get your favorite podcast, but iTunes seems to be the one where we get
That's
the where we
that's where
get
the hip
most.
kids listen if you have the iPhone. But really, what we ask you to do is, however you view us or listen to us or engage with us, just comment. And it could, because when you kind of engage with us, other people find us. It's like Jeff Bezos's algorithm.
Why?
He just
Yes.
does it.
Why would you say Jeff Bezos? Why would you enrage the man as we have the last final minutes of our podcast?
We were doing so well, Greg. We were
right
on
there.
our way out.
They've been throttling our fucking
So,
YouTube page.
Jeff Bezos, if this ever gets back to you, I would love to have you on Whiskey Business with John Whitney here. And then
Catherine
you guys could,
M. Harrison.
You'll have a role in Dino's next
I'm only
musical.
joking. I love Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos.
Catherine M. Harrison.
Oh yes, this is one of the latest reviews, and I was just blown away.
A friend suggested that I listen to Whiskey Business, and now I am obsessed with it. The concept is witty and briskly fun, with the episodes featuring unexpected moments of emotional warmth amidst stories that are brilliantly engaging. The host, Dino, has a raging comic streak, a curiosity.
I was just say raging something else.
Comic streak,
Comic Street.
a curiosity with that propels fantastic interviews, very true, and a voice that resonates with a bourbon caress.
Oh man, I'm
a
telling
bourbon
ya.
caress.
A bourbon caress.
That's
I
one
He
way of describing your
shows-
voice.
My
love it.
goodness.
Drinking and smoking all these years has given me a bourbon
there you
caress of
go.
a voice.
It's
I
all culminated to
Have
this
something
moment.
to work towards.
He shows respect for his guests while also asking the questions that reveal both heartfelt emotions and underlying amusing based humor. Very true.
That's nice.
I think that's pretty. I think that's pretty spot on.
Oh, this is great for me. Ralph Scott's haunting stories had me enthralled.
Oh,
yeah,
that's my
Ralphie.
favorite.
I sent that.
I was
to
there
Ralphie.
that night when you
Anytime we
recorded.
got ghost stuff, I'm in. Travis Irvine had me laugh while respecting his journey. The
Absolutely.
30-year-old guy who ran for governor of Ohio. I
Right,
love
right.
that.
One of my favorites from
Find,
recent
by the way,
memory.
find both
Yeah.
of those on our
That was a good one.
Our whiskey business.
Run,
archives.
Travis, run if you want to look it up.
Alex Hasey, of course, of Ohio v. the World.
Yep,
We've had
Alex-
him on several
Alex,
times.
This is the first year that we've actually not had Alex on yet. Usually we get him on right before his season kicks off, but we'll get him back on.
Well, she's going deep because whiskey. Dino's mother was one of my very favorite guests on the podcast,
And one of my favorite guests. And now I have you guys don't understand how meaningful that podcast is to me, because now I have me and my mom forever. You know, she's going to be 84 years old this year, and I've got that forever.
Yeah.
In my library of memories. So go ahead. I'm
No,
sorry.
oh yeah, no. I mean, it's they're all there in the archives. I have taken umbrage with some of the comments made about agriculture.
And I don't. And I read that,
Dino,
and I go, and like,
what the shit did you do?
I don't remember.
This is
us-
the best review you ever did.
I
You-
know.
I feel like you have to
Mr. Off.
engage this.
What the shit?
I sent when I located her and found her on Instagram. I sent her a private message that if we'll have a farmer on, we'll have you on. I mean, I don't remember any agricultural slams per se, or it's probably
so-
you, Hansberry.
Yeah,
Did you make
probably.
a joke about a farmer?
Probably.
Okay.
Catherine M. Harrison. She. All I know is she followed me on Instagram, and yeah, she seems to be a farmer,
Yeah,
which is
Harrison
awesome.
Farms.
Yeah.
Oh,
great.
sweet.
Anyway.
Harrison Farms.
You
Yeah.
gotta write that ship.
But anyway, but perhaps this is an opportunity. This is a long one, by the way. That's why I'm reading it. This is an opportunity for Dino to interview a farmer to understand their perspective.
I will.
Okay.
I will.
All right. What's
Thank
her
you,
name? What's
whiskey
her name?
business team.
I can't think of anybody better than
Catherine
her to be
Harrison.
on.
Catherine. All right,
Yeah.
Catherine.
Catherine.
Thank you, whiskey business team, for providing such a remarkable educational. I don't know if I've ever been called educational.
Well, I think we learned a lot about like
An
bottled and
amusing
bond and what that's
podcast.
about, right?
I mean, so but thank you. Like,
Yeah, that took some
We-
time and some thought.
and the point is, we have some
write.
depth. Go dig in through our archives on your favorite podcasting app,
Absolutely.
whiskeybusinesspodcast.com. There's, like we like to say, A to Z. There's a little bit of
A
everything.
little bit
for
of
everyone.
everything, and this year is going to be a banner year. It's already kicked off, and so far it's been great guests so far this year. This is going to be a fun one when it airs for everybody. So I'm going to wrap it up. Can I wrap it up now? All right, Whiskey Business is a Never the Luck production.
Wait,
produced
wait,
on
wait,
the
wait.
what?
Do it in the microphone, though.
I am doing it in the microphone. Whiskey Business is this. I'm taking orders from a man who doesn't like the quiet man. Whiskey Business is a Never the Luck production, produced wonderfully on the audio side by the son I never wanted, Greg Hansberry, and magnificently on the YouTube side with John Whitney. Want to thank Jon Osbeck for joining us and joining in on the fun tonight. I hope you had a good time. Nice to have you
fantastic
back
time.
on the
Always
show.
great to be here.
Want to thank our guest bottle, Rittenhouse Straight Rye Whiskey, 100 proof, bottle and bond. A booze value at $25 a bottle. Check that out.
Very good.
So
Very good.
lots of fun stuff on tap as we continue on Whiskey Business. And so, my friends, until the next bottle, see you.